Hello and welcome on the Gamers Academy YouTube channel. My name is Outlandish. I played this game competitively for 4 years, but decided to retire recently, become a coach, and partner up together with Gamers Academy to provide you guys educational content to make you the best players you want to be. If you want to book me or one of my colleagues for individual coaching sessions, you can book us on gamers-academy.com. You can find the homepage in the description below. On top of that, you can use this code to save up to 10% for the first session you will book with us. In this episode, we'll talk about the 12.10b patch, a hotfix patch to fix the current solo queue situation, fix some champions that are too broken, and buff some champions that are too weak. All of that in the upcoming video. As I said already in the intro, today we will talk about the 12.10 patch B. This is a hotfix patch. This is happening a lot. This is basically when Riot's releasing a big patch that's affecting the meta a lot in solo queue and the competitive environment. They're having like a hotfix patch afterwards just to fix the mistakes they did and like trying to adjust some stuff, buffing and nerfing some champions because some champions were overloaded or too weak for the current meta. So they're trying to adjust that by the hotfix patch as per usual. Riot is doing again mistakes. We'll discuss about that together. We can discuss about that in the comments as well. If you want to participate in the discussion about this patch, if you want to like implement your ideas, feel free to join on Twitter. Riot Vlogs, as per usual, he tweeted the current patch notes, and this right now is just in preview, just like the champions, the ideas behind it, what they want to fix. If you want to implement and give your ideas about it, just comment under it. It's really important that everyone in this community of League of Legends is like participating in the discussion so we can find the most optimal way to balance the game out. And I think this is really important for everyone, for a casual player and even for a competitive player as well. So let's have a look what the general idea is like about the whole 12.10b patch. In general, if you watch the last videos, 12.10 is a lot about having more defensive tools on level 1. The base stats got buffed, everyone has more HP, more armor per level. Hyperscaling champions are profiting a lot from that patch. Enchanters are profiting from that patch because they're in a combination together with something like Vayne or Kog'Maw really strong. Kayle is really strong on the patch. In general, just like champions that like can hyperscale and have like a really benefiting a lot from like a long laning phase. Basically every assassin and every lane dominant champion got punished for that because they were not able to play as aggressive anymore as they wanted to. So they're trying to adjust it a little bit. So the champion buffs, first of all, we have Renekton, a champion that got already buffed in the patch before. So they're trying to give this champion again more relevance in the draft. Renekton wasn't that much picked anymore in competitive. Most of the times, maybe as a counter pick into Camille to set up dives in an early game, but most of the time Renekton isn't that like strong blind pick anymore. It doesn't have that much relevance anymore. It's more like a scaling bruiser right now. I talk with some people about it. It's not like Renekton used to be a really strong lane dominant champion, but nowadays you can just scale really well with him because he benefited a lot from the changes as well, but he's not really good in the current meta because like the most of the champions are all ranging him in the laning phase, and he's like struggling with like fighting against them or skirmishing against them in the early game. So they're buffing that. I think for me it's like personally a good idea to do that. The second champion they're changing is really toxic for me because I think like Yuumi is just really strong right now, just in the combination together with all like these hyper carries we have, like the long games we are currently having in solo queue, and Yuumi is just profiting a lot from this patch. She's like basically unpunishable in laning phase if you're playing her correctly, if you're not tower diving her over and over again. So now they're even buffing her, which is like for me completely insane because like this champion was just like perfect on this patch right now, and like a lot of people were picking her up. So they just decided to buff her. I think just like based on the statistics they have like from all solo queues, but I can guarantee you like an higher competitive play or like in solo queue, Yuumi was already really strong. The 3 buffs I actually really liked is the Kled buff, the Diana buff, and Raven buff. I think like all these 3 champions are really niche. They're not like they're just really good in specific scenarios. We don't have that much Kled and Raven players. Diana is like out of meta or like not that strong anymore for a longer period of time. We had a time where Diana was really strong in the meta, but this is like some months already ago, so they're trying to buff these champions. Kled as the same dynamic as Renekton, wanted to play like a really dominant laning phase. He got punished by the champion and base that changes, so they're adjusting that. I think this is a great idea. And Raven to buff Draven just as an answer and to do like these hyper scaling champions, to have like an aggressive counterpart to it's for me like really important. Yeah, one of first of all, because like for the draft phase that you like have something to counter like these hyper scaling champions, and Draven is like really good in punishing like in early game laning phases, and buffing that just gives like the whole dynamic a better balance. I think this is really important. I think like everyone that hates to play against Draven is probably really sad about this change, but I think this could be a good optimization for the current bot lane dynamic we have. So we have like on one side like these players that like to play like to punish the enemy laner, and one side that likes to scale, and like who's executing that playstyle better is benefiting from that a lot. So I think this is a good change. Let's talk about the champion nerfs. I think like every champion that's on there is justified, because we're talking about champions that like can really easily hyperscale right now, that don't get punished that much in early game. And Kayle just basically exploded in her win rate, in her ban rate, in her pick rate. Kayle is like incredibly strong. At one stage of the game, if she's like hitting level 16, she's unstoppable in team fights, unstoppable on side laning, and she didn't get punished. She profited a lot from the 12.10 patch, so they're nerfing that. I think this is a really great idea. But even though I think they're probably like panicking too much, because like Kayle just got, same as Kog'Maw, just got picked up as a natural reaction to the patch. I would love to see like how it would have developed over the next weeks, and not like insta nerfing it. But I guess they justify that by the high win rate the champion has, and the high pick rate and ban rate the champion has. And this is always a sign for a champion not being that healthy in the current meta, if like everything on a champion is just exploding, every win rate, every percentage is just exploding to the moon. So I think this is a good adjustment. Same like goes for basically Anivia in the laning phase. Anivia is a hyper scaling control mage. She's like having a really extreme strong mid game. She's like scaling really well, has an infinite amount of wave clear, and she was before the 12.10 patch already really toxic to play against. If you play against a good Anivia player, he was really hard to punish, and now with the 12.10 patch, is even a better laning phase. Now they're nerfing the laning phase for Anivia. I think this is kind of sad, because Anivia is a really niche champion, not seen that much. But they tried to adjust the champion as well. The next champion for me is actually really nice to see that they're nerfing Taliyah. And Taliyah was like, if you just watch like the last competitive matches we had, and like the last solo queue, how it developed, like a lot of people are picking up Taliyah in jungle and mid lane as a flex pick. It's like really, really strong. Like every good Taliyah player was like just abusing this champion so much to climb in solo queue. It's just really, really snowball heavy champion, having a lot of mobility. The kit was really overloaded at that point, so they're trying to nerf this champion, which is in my opinion a nice decision. I hope they are not over nerfing this champion. I think it still should have like some place in the meta. If you like, for example, need an AP jungler that can control through his like mobility over the map, the early game really fast, and is having like really good skirmishes, and she's countering a lot of like these champions that like dash into you. And this is why I think Taliyah is like a nice champion as well, because she has a really unique dynamic. She's really good into champions dash into her. So I think they shouldn't over nerf her, but I think it's just like a natural reaction of like the solo queue trend we have right now, that everyone is basically playing Taliyah. The Brand nerf is actually really interesting. I think Brand is getting nerfed because like he's the champion with the highest win rate, one of the highest win rates we have right now in solo queue. I don't think that he will have any competitive relevance, because like he's just too easy to punish, and Brand for a longer period of time not like the strongest champion, or like was never really meta. I think it's like years ago where Brand was really being played. I think it was the meta where Brand like was shortly being played in jungle as well as a flex pick. But nowadays Brand is just like a pure solo queue champion, and his win rate exploded on 12.10, so they're adjusting this champion as well. But this is a pure solo queue change. I think the next two nerfs are actually really interesting. I think these are like the most important ones in the nerfs, is Vayne and Senna. Senna's really overrepresented already in MSI, but even now even stronger on 12.10, because she's profiting from the defensive stats a lot. So this is something really good to see, that they're reacting to the current situation we have in competitive and in solo queue and Vayne. If you watched my last video about like what champions will be really strong on the upcoming patch, it's just really natural that Vayne was being picked up because of her W. She's dealing true damage based on the enemy HP, and the more HP you have, the more damage you were dealing. So it was a natural reaction to the 12.10 patch when every champion has more HP, that Vayne is getting kind of back into the meta, and with the HP adjustments, she's having a really stable laning phase as well, so they're nerfing that. I'm really interested, like, in which direction the whole patch, hotfix patch will go. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I think it's a lot of interesting changes, and some questionable changes with Vladimir and Yumi that are already really strong, that are getting buffed as well. So let's see how the community will react to it. So as I said, please let me know your opinion, and especially comment on Riot Vlogs on it on Twitter so you can participate in the discussion as well. Thanks for watching this episode on the Gamers Academy YouTube channel about the 12.10 Be Your Hotfix patch. We would appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and activate the bell on our channel, or leave us a comment, some feedback about the content we are creating, or discuss with me about this topic. If you want to discuss with me or one of my colleagues in depth about the 12.10b patch, you can join our official Gamers Academy Discord server. You can find the link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.